XVONE, up for educational critical review and reaction is Jordan Maxwell, in a piece titled Sun Order.
I want to look at this thing called a sun order, which is after the nature of the Illuminati, if not that order itself. A sun order, very ancient concept that can be traced all the way back into the beginnings of mankind. There has always been sun orders. But the important part is, how do these sun orders today manipulate world events? The sun has always been a very powerful symbol and a metaphor for all religions and all peoples on the face of the earth. But let's talk about the sun itself first as a powerful symbol. As we said, the sun has always represented a very powerful spiritual force in the universe, obviously, because it gives us life and warmth. It lights the world. So naturally, the sun is a very important symbol to all mankind and all races. And as far back in mankind's history, we can see ancient sun worship. Here, as far back with in the most ancient peoples, the Assyrians and the Babylonians, their helmets, you can see on the Assyrian helmets, especially the two on the right, upper and lower, having sunburst symbols on their helmets. This is far back into the Assyrian Empire. Then, of course, we see that the Romans picked up the same idea from the Assyrians, and they had sun helmets. Because the sun was very important, especially in the Roman Empire. And we see it, of course, with the Native Americans and even today in South America, such as the different races of people who celebrate the coming of the sun, even Native Americans, as I said. So it's a symbol that has been used for thousands of years, worshiping the sun. One of the oldest symbols of the sun was and still is the eagle. And this is something a lot of people do not know, that almost all the ancient civilizations in the world had an eagle somewhere in their symbolism. And the eagle always, and in every case, always represented the same thing. It was always a symbol of the sun. Why? Because the eagles can fly so high, and they have sharp vision, and they're able to see things and overview the whole earth. So ancient Romans, of course, as I said, used the eagle to symbolize the sun. Here's Solas Invicti, the Roman god, with his symbol for the sun was an eagle. Eagles were used all over the Roman Empire to symbolize the sun. And fascists, of course, in Europe used the eagle also for the same reason, to symbolize the sun. It's a Roman eagle fascist signet ring. The eagle symbolizing the sun. And you'll see the eagle is perched on a fasci. That's another whole subject we'll get into another time. The symbol of the fasci is a bundle of sticks, which you'll see the eagle perched on, with a hatchet head. It's called a fasci. It's the symbol of world fascism, or world totalitarian fascist state, the most brutal fascist corporate state symbol. And the eagle representing the sun, showing that the sun is connected to world fascism. Here it is on a coin in 1849 in Rome, in Italy. You'll see the eagle perched on the Roman fasci. Here it is on an American quarter. American quarter, just like the Roman, because America is modern-day Rome. Now, Hitler and the Nazis also used eagles for the same reason, to symbolize the sun. You'll always see the eagle perched on the sun, and of course the swastika represented the sun and moving across the earth. As the sun rolled across the sky, that's why the legs of the cross were moving. It was walking across the sky. Sun symbols and eagles were one and the same thing in Nazi Germany. Now, we still have today the use of eagles as a symbol of the sun all over the world. Here in Florence, Italy, we have a church that has a sun eagle on the door. So eagles have always been synonymous in symbolism with the sun. The reason why this is important, because we're talking about a secret society that is based on the Illuminati, if not that very society itself. And the most important symbol of the Illuminati is the sun, because it brings light into the world. And as I said, it was always represented in the ancient world by an eagle. Even state arms around the world have the sun and the eagle. Now, here's the seal of the President of the United States. That's a very interesting symbol, and I don't want to get off my subject too much, but that symbol is very important. You will see in one talent, the eagle is holding 13 arrows, and the other is 13 leaves. There are 13 berries, 13 stripes. Very interesting symbolism, and we'll talk about that in another time, because there's a whole world of knowledge of symbolism wrapped up in the presidential seal. But nonetheless, we're seeing an eagle, the eagle on the dollar bill. Eagles have only two wings, left wing and right wing. That's why we have in America the sun order that controls America's politics has two wings. They're called left wing and right wing. And obviously, the left wing and right wing has to be controlled by a brain in the middle. That's your hands, both left hand and right hand, is controlled by one brain in the middle. So is the left wing and right wing of American politics is controlled by the same mind. Both sides are controlled by the same people. All right, we have seen that the eagle is a symbol of the sun. The sun in its rising brings light, obviously, into the everyday world of mankind. So mankind has always waited for the sun to come up so that he could take control over the earth. At night, it was very dark and fearful for the ancient man. And so that's what the sun happily does for the earth. It chases away the darkness of night, and it illuminates the earth, and therefore it is a symbol for illumination of the mind. It illuminates. The sun is always, as I said, representing light, intellectual and spiritual enlightenment. So the sun is always symbolized not only the light for mankind to see his way through each day, but more importantly, the intellectual and spiritual enlightenment of the inner soul or the mind of mankind. So that's why we have newspapers who are supposedly there to enlighten us as to the news of the world, keeps you enlightened. And so many of the newspapers have the term sun, always the symbol of the sun, newspapers around the world, because the sun represents intellectual, spiritual enlightenment. You'd be surprised how many newspapers, magazines have the word sun and the symbol of the sun in them. So we see the same basic symbol used all over the world. The rising sun symbolizes spiritual and intellectual enlightenment. Here you'll see the rising sun behind the mountains, and this is a very important symbol we're going to get into now, that sun order, and it's symbol of the sun rising behind the mountains. That's a very important symbol, the sun rising behind two mountains. We'll tell you why in a few moments, but you'll see it everywhere. Even this dollar bill, as far back as 2005, but this is a very old silver dollar, and the name of the silver dollar is Liberty Marching Toward the Dawn of a New Day. Here it is in Russian, Soviet, even Obama uses it. There's a good reason why he uses it. It's a Soviet communist symbol. And we see the symbolism generally picked up around the world and used in, in commercial and corporations, etc. Even the shell sign features the sunrise on the shell sign. Here's a new stamp in America. You'll see the two pyramids of the two mountains and the inverted triangle, which is the sun rising between the two mountains. This is a very fascist Nazi architect. This is very fascist, and you'll see the fascist Nazi eagle that was popular in Germany under Adolf Hitler and the Nazis is now on an American stamp, and he is perched on a fasci, a bundle of sticks. Very impressive National Socialist symbolism in America. Nazism, fascism, the eagle, the sunrise between two mountains, all of this is replete in America, everywhere. And in churches and religions in general, you'll see suns behind the mountain. And this is a whole subject that we'll get into another time, because this is a very big subject about how the church uses the sun rise behind the mountains. There's a very good reason why, and we'll get into that another time. But just to show how this symbolism is used in politics, in corporations, religion, churches, even the sunrise Torah symbol. The Jews use the sun rising over Jerusalem all the time. That's a very important symbol. Here we have sunrise in Jerusalem. There's a reason why the sunrise is important, because it's a symbol of the Illuminati, the illumination of the world by the illuminated minds. And of course, Charles Taze Russell, when he founded the International Bible Students Association back in the 1868, Zion's Watchtower, today is known as Jehovah's Witnesses. That was a Illuminati Zionist movement as far back as 1868. And the sunrise was used profusely in the old watchtowers. Now, the rising of the morning sun is called the dawn, so when the spiritual or intellectual enlightenment comes into your heart or mind, we say things like, oh, it just dawned on me. Why do we say that? Oh, yes, it just dawned on me. That's what the sun does. It dawns. The dawn is it says here, the rising sun is a symbol of hope and a new beginning. The dawn. It's the Christian concept. And if you go on the web to Google and put in Christian New Dawn, you will see hundreds and hundreds of churches and church groups and Christian groups going by the name of Christian New Dawn, the New Dawn movements. Easter celebrates the new dawn of Christ brought into the world. Christian singers, the New Dawn singers. Christian churches, the New Dawn Christian Church. So here's a picture of a Christian celebration, and you'll see on the backdrop, you'll see the crosses, and then you'll see in the middle the mountains with the sun rising on the new dawn. Most Christians have no idea in the world the significance of these symbols, have no concept in the world about what they're being led into. But And of course, with this new dawn, we get into something called the new day, obviously. Christian symbolism still. And don't forget about the Jewish Kabbalah. The Jews also have the same symbol. That's where Christians have gotten it from. It's from the old ancient Jewish religion. In the book 9.5 Mystics, the Kabbalah Today, on the 9th chapter is called The Fragrance of Eden, the way of one who is caught between the suns of a dying and dawning day. So this is a very important Jewish symbol also in synagogues, the sun rising for the new dawn. And here was a song that's written about the Jewish people during the Second World War. It says, "The first to perish were the children, abandoned orphans, the world's best and bleak earth's brightest. These children might have been our comfort for these sad, mute, bleak faces. Our new dawn might have arisen." So this whole idea of the coming of the Messiah, according to ancient Jerusalem and ancient Jewish teachings, has nothing to do, in fact, with a man coming to save the world. In Judaism, the Messiah is actually a messianic period of time. And of course, the second paragraph talking about this red heifer, silly nonsense about a red heifer or a red bull that was born in Israel. This goes back to the worship of Taurus, the bull, and the constellation, when the sun was in the constellation of Taurus. This is why Moses then the Israelites were worshiping a golden calf. The golden calf was the sun, which is golden, and the calf, which is a Taurus, the bull, the constellation of Taurus. That's a whole subject we'll get into also. But even today, they're talking about a red heifer born in Israel. And the second paragraph goes on to say that tradition records that a red heifer in our generation is the herald of the Messianic era. It is certainly an important development toward the rebuilding of the Holy Temple. Our ancient sages taught that Israel's redemption could be compared to the dawn. In the beginning, it progresses very slowly, but as it continues, it grows brighter and brighter. So this whole idea of Messiah is not a man coming back, but it is a messianic era, a time period. And this time period is when the rebuilding of the Holy Temple